Hey guys, welcome to I'm Kovic.
And I'm Bruce Greene.
And we're asking the question, do games make you violent?
Put down that controller, you little psychopath.
Whoa.
We've got a new study telling you just how much of a criminal you actually are. This one's a little different, though.
Yeah, you might want to sit down for this one because the American Psychology Association published a re-evaluation of several, quote, meta-analysis findings.
Okay.
Essentially, they're doing a study on studies about studies.
Lawrence, put this in normal human talk.
Oh God, okay, so they've basically grouped together all these studies and groups of studies and they're trying to examine the link between violent behavior and violent video games.
Okay.
Yeah, so the goal is to see if these studies are accurate and complete in their methodology, sample demographics, and scientific integrity.
Okay.
And to boil that down even further, they basically put a task force together to see if there's a reliable common thread between all of the studies and studies about studies done on video game violence. And if there is, what is that thread?
All right, so by digging through 170 different research reports, the APA actually reaches some interesting conclusions that are a little more nuanced than, quote, playing GTA makes you a murderer, end quote.
Yeah, the conclusion is clear. Playing violent video games does produce more aggressive behavior in the player.
Yeah.
This behavior is expressed and recorded in some unique ways, exposing someone you know to hot sauce or a noise blast, self-report questionnaires, peer nomination, and teacher ratings.
Wow.
I don't fucking know.
Yeah, Lawrence, what is that? What are we talking about there?
So it's hard in his study to quantify what aggression is because it's essentially non-quantifiable. It's something you feel. So they try to find a way to express that and compare it with people who haven't been playing violent video games.
That makes sense.
So let's say in one setup you have a dial that exposes somebody to like just a blast of noise.
Yeah.
You have one group play a violent video game and then give them the dial and see how high they turn it. You have another group not play the game and give them a dial. So that's the kind of research that we're talking about.
Right.
And it's tough because essentially one research is not going to capture all the variables. So you have to examine all the research and hopefully find a throughput that reaches a reliable conclusion.
So what you're saying is Minesweeper will make me a serial killer.
That's
You got
true,
it.
right? That's true, yeah?
We're done.
Okay, we're done. All right, we can go. The report is actually very, very careful to explain that, quote, although additional outcomes such as criminal violence, delinquency, and physiological and neurological changes appear in this literature, we did not find enough evidence of sufficient utility to evaluate whether these outcomes are affected by violent video game use, end quote.
They could have given me the $500,000 grant and I could have told you that 3 weeks ago. It's pretty easy. Essentially, violent video games do result in aggressive behavior, but not necessarily bad behavior.
So this is the critical distinction that a lot of people, those both pro and anti-violent video games, tend to miss. Aggressive behavior can lead to destructive behavior, sure, but it can also be constructive.
Of course, we have to learn to deal with our feelings.
Yeah, that's true.
We're all humans. If harnessed properly, aggression can help you ask out that girl or guy without worrying that you may spend another night crying into your pillow alone.
It can get you in the gym, pushing that weight and getting into shape.
Yeah, it can even motivate you to learn new skills and stick with them, even when you feel like you're not doing well.
Yeah, that's true. You've got a bunch of experience with video
Well,
games.
like I would get mad when I'd play like competitive shooters like Halo 2 back on the original Xbox, and
I got so angry.
one time I broke my fucking controller,
yeah,
and I
of course.
realized this thing costs money.
Yeah.
And I've learned to manage that.
Okay.
And if I get mad, you just take a breath,
Just put the controller down.
step away.
And you punch a pony.
Oops.
Punch a little horse.
It's a Shetland pony, but I mean, let's not get into the details. Regardless, learning to deal with aggression is much more positive than just ignoring it.
That's true. The meta-analysis and obviously all the studies upon which it's based couch aggression as a purely negative outcome. Lawrence, that's not always true, right?
Not necessarily. At least I don't think so.
Yeah.
And whenever I feel aggression in my life, I try to bend it towards a positive outcome because I'm aware that it's happening.
Yeah.
I would like to see a study that analyzes the ways in which this video game-produced aggression can alter behavior in a good way.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe get somebody all riled up playing GTA or something, and then have them like build a little house out of Lego or something. Maybe they'll build a taller and better house than somebody who's not aggressive. I don't know. I feel like I've used that to a positive effect in my own life, and I feel like people can be taught to do that, provided they're aware that it's happening, and that's kind of the point of studies like this.
Right. The study does find a more objective negative outcome associated with violent video games, though. Antisocial behavior. This one's a little harder to find a silver lining in.
Yeah, to put it in smart people words, the study finds a link between violent games and, quote, a decrease in positive outcomes such as pro-social behavior, empathy, and sensitivity to aggression.
Right. In case that sounds like Dr. Talk, pro-social behavior is defined as any action intended to help others. Basically, playing violent video games makes you care less about the people around you. Seriously, though, who needs them when you have GTA 5? Right?
That's kind of true.
You cut me off.
Actually, wait a sec. So, didn't we just say that aggression can help in social situations.
We did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aggression by itself may not be a bad thing, but when coupled with antisocial behavior, that aggression then turns inward.
Right, so this is something that I'm just generally a social person. I'm kind of an extrovert normally in life. And what I've noticed with video games is my aggression tends to make me gamify things. So if I'm out working out or if I'm running laps or something like that, it helps me get to the next level of running or get to the next level of weights. Like I'm able to remember what I did and then go, all right, did I get any further in this? And that helps with the aggression in terms of like working out, those sorts of things. Inward aggression, I'm able to express outwards in other ways, not always the right way. The older I've gotten, the better I've gotten at it. But when I was younger, that was something that happened to me a lot, and I would express it outwardly. That's something that I think it's almost better to express aggression outward than it is inward, because I think it damages you inward.
Oh, of course, yeah. You should never really bottle it up. I
Yeah.
mean, whether it's through talking to someone or punching that pony we were talking about earlier,
Right.
there's different ways of dealing with it.
But like Lauren said, it's all about learning who you are and kind of how you deal with those situations and what feelings you're feeling and recognizing that you are feeling those feelings.
This is a very touching episode.
You gonna cry now, little baby?
I mean, maybe. Fuck you!
In addition to stating very clearly what violent video games are proven to do, the meta report is also very clear about what studies haven't been done yet and what aspects haven't been appropriately examined.
Yeah, Lawrence, what else is clear to state?
It pretty clearly states that there isn't a lot of research on the effects of violent games on children, which is pretty bizarre considering that those, innocent, glassy-eyed babies are always invoked when talking about the horrors of Mortal Kombat. We got to do it for the kids.
Right.
Except we haven't actually looked at how it affects kids at all, or at least not much. The study also makes it clear that there's no conclusive research on how games affect the development of a child. So we don't know how it affects them psychologically in the moment, and we don't know how it affects them as they develop as people. I can say for me personally, my development with games was that it taught me to not fear failure. It would piss me off pretty bad when I lost a Nintendo game, but I also learned that, you know what, losing a Nintendo game isn't the end of the world. You just try again, and you get better at it. It teaches you how to deal with losing, and then learning and getting better, and that if you invest enough time in something and you do it in the right way, it will eventually pay off. So I think that there are positive aspects there, maybe not to violent games specifically, but games in general. But other unexamined elements include the difference between men and women, the degree of exposure to the violence in the game, the properties of the game itself, and how the game is played.
We expect that last bit will blow up in the coming months. You can bet with VR on the horizon, there's going to be a disemboweling video game out there that says cable news is on fire.
It's gonna be so cool in VR though.
I love when old people don't understand things.
Personally, we'd like to implore a little acceptance from the gaming community here. We spent decades enduring the overreaction of senators, parents, and news pundits using games as a scapegoat for unsavory behavior.
Yeah, I don't understand this thing, so I'm going to point a stick at it.
Exactly.
Only recently has the conversation mellowed to the point where we can actually look at some of this stuff objectively.
That's true.
Instead of rejecting any implication of negativity around our favorite hobby, maybe it's time we accept and make ourselves aware of the aspects that the scientific community agrees are proven.
Yeah, as usual, we preach personal responsibility here. If you consume violent video games, be aware. They will make you more aggressive and more antisocial. And if you have kids, be aware of the media they consume and the effect it has on them.
If we continue to show the world that we can handle this entertainment in a responsible way, they'll have less and less of a reason to blame it for the downfall of worldwide culture.
Oh man, these kids with their music, right guys?
It's making them kill people.
Right guys? We sound like old men.
Yeah, stop crying, old baby. You're like an old man baby.
They sound like old men.
Well, look, it's still going to take another 60 to 150 years before all the people who are in office grew up playing violent video games and don't make it an issue anymore. Right now, we still have to deal with
50 years?
It's going to be a long time.
I'll be dead by then.
I know. Sucks for us.
I know, right?
Or it's the best thing ever.
Please like and subscribe for more old men news.